Good morning, Miguel.
Good morning, Jenny White.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. School's back in session, so we got to start watching, being some watchdogs on what's happening in all these schools. They're already, the very first day of school, my son said that multiple kids had their cell phones taken away in Edmond. One girl in her history class, her phone just dropped out of her purse or something onto the floor when she was sitting down. The teacher saw it and made her go take it to the office.
But it's not funny, so stop laughing.
No.
It makes me so irritated. I mean, the state has no business dictating any of that stuff to schools. They absolutely don't. And I'm going to remind you, we complain about things and they say, oh, it's local control. We want they only want local control when they want local control. And that's enough local control to screw over local parents. They don't really want local control. I mean, it was so easy for them to have that whole cell phone debacle taken out of their hands. And then they don't have, you know what I'm saying? Then they just don't say anything about it. It's like, oh, well, we didn't do that. The state made us do that. But
hey, it's easy to just blame Big Brother. Don't take responsibility in your own school district.
Well, but I do think there's a lot to that, don't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's always the preface of all that stuff. It's easier to just push the blame off somewhere else, federally or some law or something, this or that, so you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, and I honestly think, I still think that whole cell phone thing, it's just tyranny. I mean, it's just legitimate tyranny. They don't want the kids showing what's going on in classrooms. They don't want them to have the ability to communicate. I mean, the first time there's ever an emergency in a school, and I don't care what it is, a fire or whatever, the first time there's an emergency and people need to contact kids that are inside and there's no contact, those parents who were all about, oh, we love this because my kid's so easily distracted and we're so happy about, I mean, they're going to be going screaming bloody murder and their faces are going to be turning purple. You know, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we never thought about that. We want our kids to have our cell phones back. It's so frustrating. I mean, it's so frustrating. And it's interesting, our superintendent said, well, you guys are going to have to front the money for your meals, remember? And then they had a nervous breakdown. And now they're saying, we're not doing it. We're not going to do this.
Yeah. Well, and that's how the feds get their foothold in all of these schools, is through that lunch program, because they're the ones providing all the money for it. So now you have to play by their rules or whatever they say, because you're taking all their money.
But nobody thinks this way.
Yeah.
And if you think it and then you say it, you're demonized. You hate children. You don't want kids to eat, or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that's where I was going with all of that. Thanks,
Jenny. You hate children. You hate teachers. You hate all these legislators. You have a lot of hate.
I do.
Jenny Hate White.
There's a lot of pin up anger over here. Yeah. But I mean, it's true. It's just so dopey and I get so exhausted of it. But the cell phone thing, I promise you that's going to boomerang.
Well, over time, I don't know how they're really going to police every single one of those kids. I mean, at some point, it's just going to turn into a circus, and you're going to have some parents, that are going to really get involved. To me, I look at it like you do. It's a form of tyranny. It's no different than I'm forced to wear my seatbelt or I'm going to get a ticket. Even though I've already disclosed on this show to shut my car up, I have a click it in my seatbelt deal, and I still don't wear my seatbelt, and I don't care. It's my decision. So give me a ticket.
Well, and here's the funniest thing about the seatbelt thing. So if we were really serious about this, we would completely make motorcycles illegal.
What about horses? You might have to have a seatbelt on a horse.
Horses,
bicycles,
wagons, ATVs. I mean, but when you think about it like that logically, it is kind of stupid. I mean, when you play the whole thing out logically, it's stupid.
Well, heck, before too long, we may have to wear helmets in the car while we're driving.
Yeah, but see,
keep going so bad.
Yeah, but see, you say that kind of thing like it's funny.
It is funny. It is funny.
And it'll give some. Robert says, how have you all lived these years without your seatbelt?
Yeah. I love, what I love? I love watching those video compilations from like the 80s and 90s where the kids are riding their bikes, jumping off of stuff and jumping off. I mean, that was me. Literally. I gave my mom a heart attack one time. I'm driving my bike down the street going full speed. I'm standing up on my seat with one foot on my seat, 1 foot on my handlebars, going down the block. No helmet, no nothing, probably 30 miles an hour. And I think back to all the crazy stuff I did. I mean, it's like, wow.
We know what me and Dave were talking about this somewhere out of the blue when we were traveling in the car, last week. And he goes, man, I remember when we would go places with my parents, we'd fight over who got to like lie down in the back window.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he goes, sometimes we'd get a couple of us up there, and then if Dad stops real quick, we'd just roll over into the seat.
Yeah.
And kids don't even get that anymore. It's I don't know. Of course we want kids to be safe, but if we were really that unsafe, like Robert says, how did any of us ever make it this far?
Yeah.
We could have all been killed, on the plains by lightning or marauders. I mean, coming over in covered wagons. Yeah. So it's just, it's stupid.
Well, that's the difference, Jenny. Like when Jake was on, I know we're getting ready to go to John Boy, but like when Jake was on and you asked him, the difference between freedom and liberty, that's we had a lot more liberty back then. We still have we're free to drive a car, but you have to play by all the rules. You got to get a tag. You have to have insurance. That's not liberty. That may be a form of freedom, but that's not liberty. Liberty is you own the car. You don't pay taxes. You don't have to pay an annual dues to the state to drive your car as a privilege. You don't have to have insurance if you don't want to. You can travel wherever you want. You don't have to have a license. That's liberty. We've just gone so far down the road away from all that, but
nicely said. Well, and that's the good thing about having John on this morning, because he is going to talk to us about more loss of liberty. And I hope I don't end up, I'm going to bring him on. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning. Are
you good?
Fine. Yes. Can you hear me okay?
So, yes. So we're going to talk about something that I don't think people understand. I don't think people get this. How did you come to this topic? Let's do. Look what Carrie Ferris Wilson says. Or pay a toll.
Kelly. Pay to drive on the road that we already paid for.
So
this started for me about 7 years ago, and about 4 years ago I started this map that's up there now, and I'll get to it later. But I want to kind of do some background stuff on this. But this image is what got me, I guess, in trouble, because I've had some hate mail about it. Like, you guys know what happens when you start telling the truth and start bringing things to light, people don't like it when they're on this side of the image. Can I keep going, Jenny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do my little disclaimer for everybody to read. I like to joke and clown around because everything doesn't have to be serious. But I do not serve Kool-Aid or sweet tea because they got sugar in it, and I don't sugarcoat. And I do put salt in my coffee and tea. I honestly do. And then I guess everybody can read that other stuff. It's too small for me to read, even with my glasses on.
Well, basically, you just say you'll be courteous and respectful, but not to take offense to what you say because you're just telling it the way you see it.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yep.
Okay, this is a little thing I show on every presentation I do. It takes all of us. And that little guy there standing there, it says, God is in control, but he does not expect you to lean on a shovel to dig a hole.
Or pray and pray for a hole.
You
lean on a shovel and pray for a hole.
Actions. Yes.
Yeah.
And it takes all of us, farmers, ranchers, and consumers. We all have to get involved in this to make it work. I sent this one to Jenny the other day, and if you look at that right up there, it says if you showed up today. So if you're on this podcast, at least you got involved. You know, quit criticizing, quit being a gossip, run around doing nothing. Get involved. And if you don't, we're in trouble. And I'm going to go through some of these kind of fast, and then I'm going to start hitting some highlights of where I got on this stuff. This is another one I show when I do give a presentation, because I think we've all been lied to. It doesn't matter what we're involved in, if it's school, if it's our job, if it's agriculture in any way, shape, or form. And over here on the side is a lot of quotes that I have heard at different presentations or different organizations I've gone to that kind of stuck with me. And some of them are good, some of them aren't. But don't be indoctrinated. Learn the truths, do your own research. Don't believe what you hear. I mean, and that goes for me too. If you guys don't believe anything I say, go do your research. I have spent a lot of time on this. Okay, we're going to kind of get back in to the ag stuff and where this all started.
Okay, hold on one second. For people who are tuning in, kind of give a little bit of your background. You're a teacher, public school teacher, right?
I have done substitute teaching. I was 47 years old, and I went back to college to become a teacher. And this is up in Kansas. And up in Kansas, you have to have 60 college credit hours. You have to have a few of them in education. And then after you get so many college credit hours, you have to sign up with the state of ed to get you're okay to do it, get your certificate from them. Then you have to go get fingerprinted and your background checked to be a substitute teacher. Yeah. I love kids. I mean, that's my passion as far as other than farming. That's the two things I really love and do. I've been associated with farming and with cattle since 1975. So I'm starting to tell my age because I was in my teens when that happened. I have ranched in Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas, where I've been involved with cattle in all those states. And it's similar, but yet it's different. I've done several presentations over the years on different topics. The last 7 years, I've got real involved in the political side of it, and that's what's caused a lot of this. Once you get into the political side of it, you can't get out because you see all the wrongs. And I flat say the lies you are being told. Is that enough of a background?
Yep, you did it.
Pretty good.
Okay, here's one that really, really gets me is we have not had a single agriculture secretary, in the past that ever has strengthened the small farm. And this next slide really shows it. It's concerning. The loss of farms, the loss of ground in the last, and this is from 1975 to 2022. 536,534 farms have been lost. 165 million acres have been lost.
Wow.
This is, to me, this is just staggering. And this is just up to 22. The last results that come out is where it's 28,400 farmers and ranchers per year is lost. It
Wait,
tells it
what?
Right. A year.
28,000 a year?
Yes.
Is that just
John.
people not wanting to farm, or is corporations coming in, or is the government getting involved? What is the loss? What's causing that loss?
Yeah.
Well, the main reason why is you cannot afford to get into farming anymore with all the costs as far as the land, your input costs, your equipment costs, and all that. You cannot justify getting in and farm or ranch, either one, because of your cost, and the profits you make are not there. And everybody says cattle are high right now. Yes, cattle are high. But if you figure in what it costs you to buy new equipment, to buy your land and stuff, you are still going in the hole. And there's a lot of guys saying they're making more money now than they ever have. Well, they're not figuring everything in. It's not possible. I've got a slide that I talk about. I'm in a group with 4 different people on Facebook, and we talk constantly about problems going on. I get a lot of insights from them. I get a lot of insights from presentations that I see or places I've gone from different people. And it causes me to dig and research some of this stuff. I'll use some of their slides, and then I'll go dig some more. Because this 28,000, that was after the 22. That was from the 22 to 24, something like that, was the statistics come out for it, that 5-year statistics, and that's where that 28,000 come in. But this 165 million acres lost and 536,000 farmers lost is in that 22, but it's not in that after that. So these numbers are going to jump astronomical when the next census come out.
Well, I'm going to kind of take a second and back you up, because we raise sheep, and our interest when we began doing it was basically just to supply enough meat for us and our neighbors, just kind of a sustainability thing. And then sheep are not like cattle. They're more like rabbits. They breed quickly. And so we ended up getting a pretty decent sized, little herd, still manageable for our area, but a decent sized herd. Between vet bills, feed bills, it is absolutely shocking how much feed bills have gone up since COVID. Because see, John, I don't think people even understand that. When we first started, and so that would have been 9 or 10 years ago, a bag of feed, just plain old sheep feed that we used to supplement because they graze, but we just supplement, was like $6.50. Do you know what that same bag is today? And it all happened after COVID, and it just stayed there. It never went back down. It just stayed there. So guess what my bag of feed is right now?
$18.
Yep, pretty close.
It tripled.
Yep.
But your input costs have not tripled.
No. I mean, in terms of what I get back, I mean, in terms of what I can sell my meat for, no, it doesn't
No.
cover even sort of that.
No, and you cannot sell your meat for what your input costs are right now, or you won't sell it.
No.
Have you guys seen that piece of slide long enough?
Yeah.
Okay, the three segments in the cattle business: the cow-calf producer, the grower backgrounders, and the finisher. The cow-calf producer and the growers are declining. Your farmer feeders that have 1,000 head of cattle or less are declining. Your corporations, your mega feedlots, that's usually 10,000 head or more, are increasing in size. They are controlling over 87% of the cattle being fed. Everybody wants to blame the packers. The packers are controlling somewhere around 85 to 87% because the four major packers that everybody talks about. But you got the corporation dealing with the cattle are doing the same thing. And it's very, very seldom talked about. And these guys, the corporate feeders, do not want EID tags as far as government mandates. Right now, the government mandate does not affect them in any way, shape, or form. I do want to say that and stress on that part of it. Here's some more statistics about the generations of the cow-calf ranchers has dropped 52%. The mother cow load has dropped 9.2 million head in the United States. I mean, we're just going backwards big time as far as the cattle in the United States and having our own food security in this country. We don't have it no more. The imports.
Well, and I want to point out, hold on one second. I want to point out, because Catherine Ann said, yeah, they want everything to be shipped in. Ask Sprouts where their beef is from and if they sell any local beef. And they say, nope, it's from out of state or Europe.
Do you want to run that rabbit hole?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know why we wouldn't, because as a sheep rancher, farmer, whatever you want to call it, I know what I can sell my meat for per pound. But if you go to, let's say, Costco, where does the lamb come from? Do you know?
It was imported.
Australia.
Yes.
Do you know how much a pound they're asking?
It'll be half what you can sell it for.
Actually, it's not. Lamb, for some reason, is probably twice as expensive in Costco as I sell it. But how weird is that they wouldn't want to get local sheep producers to be able to come in and provide the lamb for Costco locally, right? Where it would be half of what it's cost to ship it over from Australia. So
Yeah.
in the one area, it's different, and that's lamb.
Well, the last time I did any digging on imports and beef, little over 43% of the beef in the United States that is sold is imported. Any beef that comes into the United States that is repackaged, relabeled, or just recut, no matter what country it comes from, has a product of USA on it.
Wow.
Nuh-uh.
For real.
So all that JBS beef out of Brazil all says USA on it?
Yes.
Wow.
They can legally do it. All I have to do is repackage it, recut it, or mix it in. Because that's alternating it. Mix it in with USA beef fat, and it can be labeled product of USA. That's a rabbit hole we don't want to chase, because I'll be on there for an hour.
Well, let's go through and then we'll come back to some of this. This
is, to me, really sticks with this EID, RFID tag. because it is totally messing with our food security, our property rights, and our freedom to farm. This freedom to farm thing, they tried to do a state question here a while back and it failed. So when anybody tells you in Oklahoma you don't have a freedom to farm, that's nonsense. You do. By federal law, you have the right to farm and do what you want on your land. So don't believe this nonsense like the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association did, Farm Bureau. And I'm sorry, I'm going to tell it like it is. And the Oklahoma Pork Council said a few years back over State Question 777, you have the freedom to farm. Okay, let's back up here to property rights. These EID tags are UN driven. They align with Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, and GRSB or USRSB. That's Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef or United States Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. It's all UN driven. And that's where these EID, RFID tags are coming from. They're big in other countries. Some other countries, they've already slaughtered or removed over 50% of the cattle because of all this green nonsense going on.
Well, when are you going to explain the RFID tag thing?
Well, I'm getting there.
Okay.
We're hitting it. Premise
Okay.
ID. This premise ID is part of your EID RFID tag. You have to go get your premise ID from the government. They are going
You
to
have
assign
to.
You have to. You've got to get this number before they ever will give you a tag. And in order to, ship cattle across state lines and all that, which I got a slide that shows that on it, you have to have these tags. Here from APHIS, which is part of the USDA, it tells you about your identification number. I highlighted some of this in yellow. Is it showing up on our side?
No.
Huh.
It's okay. Just go over it.
A premise identification number or your PIN. Location identifier number. So I had to tip my screen, sorry.
It's okay.
So they're here, when you get this premise ID number, they are going to know exactly where your property is, because you have to put a pin drop on the new fancy technology. So if something happens, they can come pay you a visit. And you're not going to like the visit to come pay it. And here is where I kind of explain that. Once you have your premise ID number, the government is able to shut your operation down if they find due cause to do so. They have the ability to come to your place unannounced due to the many reasons in their arsenal. You will not have the ability to sell or move animals off of the premise until they declare it is safe for you to do so.
No.
This could be due to you having one animal in a pen of hundreds of other animals of which you sold the animal a week ago, a month ago, or a year ago. Doesn't that make you happy?
Wow.
When you do this premise, they can come in and shut you down. You cannot move animals, can't do nothing. If this happens to you, you're done. And before the EID tags, RFID tags, the premise stopped at the veterinarian, because the veterinarian put in the tags for the cattle at the vet shop. So the premise stopped there. Now the government is pushing hard to force the veterinarians to turn over all of their records to the government where your premises are through the vet.
Yeah.
And I know this is a fact because I have asked the vet and the vet said yes.
Yeah.
And I put a note down here, Tracy Hunt, and this is a guy that does this presentation on the EID tags, RFID tags, does a wonderful job. First time I heard him do this was 7 years ago, and I was up in arms, and I said, it'll be a cold day, you know where, when I put a tag in my cattle ear. I have not put one in yet, and I won't. I will sell out first. Okay, here's some information everybody needs to write down. Here's some phone numbers to call if you want your EID, RFID tags, and where to go get them. It's ODAF, ODAFS, is Oklahoma Department of Agriculture and Forestry. The phone number is 405-521-3864. I have talked to them for the last 3 days because I've been told them I don't want to misquote anything that I'm saying today. And they assured me the questions I answered, I was correct on it. So there's a couple of them that know my name now. Okay, and then the other part of this is I put the scrapey tags in here also, because these scrapey tags are just like these EID or RFID tags. The scrapey tags are for goats and sheep. And in order for you to move them across state lines of breeding of age, which just like cattle, 18 months or older of breeding stock, you have to have this tag in there by law.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt you one more time. So this is because I've gotten into, we'll talk in a little bit about what's happened to me, because I think it'll make you super mad. But I just want to point out that scrapie is a disease of sheep, and all of this stuff is predicated on, well, we're afraid that you're going to sell a diseased animal to somebody else. So picture what happened to bird farmers, chicken farmers with bird flu.
Yes.
Okay, does bird flu kill you?
No.
Does bird flu kill anybody?
No.
Okay, so why do you suppose then the government is going into these chicken farmers and killing off half or all of their, just saying, hey, you have this and we're going to come in and kill all your stock. We'll give you a little bit of money for it, but we're going to kill it off. Think on that. Just a minute.
It's all control. It's every bit of it's control. And it's go back to these crazy nuts that say, you can control your food and they control the people. I'm sorry, they're doing it. And they're doing it right under everybody's nose, and nobody's saying nothing about it. And
we'll talk more about it later, but the veterinarians are getting screwed in the process because they're bringing the weight of the government down on them to, report all of this stuff in the labs. I mean, we'll get into all of this, but so that's what the deal is with the tags. I know for sheep, if you have to get a sheep tag to say that you don't have scrapie, or that it's crazy. Go ahead. Sorry.
And the same steps that you got to go through to get your EID or RFID tags, you have to go through that same step to get your scrapie tags. I also raise goats. I have got about as many goats as I do cows. So I went through this scrapie tag stuff long before I ever knew what the deal was on it. They said you just got to have it. But what upsets me about these scrapie tags for goats, it's the same law as the EID RFID tags. That it's a sexually intact animal, 18 months or age or older, that's going to be transported across state lines. Yet when you take an animal in, I don't care if it's a baby, it's 1 day old, into a sale barn, they're going to throw a scrapie tag in that animal's ear and charge you to do so. And that animal is not of breeding age, nothing. And they're going to charge you to do it. And I got another slide on that because it irritates me. Sexually intact animals, 18 months and older, is what these tags are supposed to be going in. the thing that gets me, and I'll be honest down here, and I'll read this. When you piss off the majority of the producers who own the cattle and will not comply, and an outbreak happens, does the government think they are going to comply and help with the traceability of the disease outbreak? Or will they kill them and hide them so that the government doesn't know? I mean, let's be honest and realistic here, because they're saying these EID tags, RFID tags, are for disease traceability. They can say all they want. It's for control. They want to know every part about your business. But yet, when mad cow disease happened years back, and it came from Canada, they traced it in 3 to 7 days, depending on who you want to ask, how quick they traced it back. So in 5 days, they traced an animal that had a disease all the way back to Canada, where it originated from, in 5 days. With this little bitty
metal tag, not
yes.
with the electronic crap, with just a plain old metal tag.
Yes. Just a plain old metal tag. Nothing special about it whatsoever.
So the point being made here is you don't need the RFID, EID tag to trace some kind of outbreak like they did with mad cow. And I want to point out that Robert says, as Joel Salatin says, they're killing virus-resistant chickens in the process of containment when just a few test positive.
He's absolutely right. There was one of the places out in California, I'm going to get my numbers wrong. Only like 3% of the chickens were had the bird flu, were infected. And they killed them all, and it was over 10,000 birds.
Yep. Yeah, and then they'll give those producers pennies on the dollar for those carcasses from taxpayer dollars to say, well, you know, people don't understand how bad this is. That's why I was so glad to have you on. I don't think people get how bad this is, and they'll go, well, I don't I don't have sheep or goats or cattle. What do I care about this? Do you eat? Well, I mean, just curious, if you eat anything at all that's meat, you probably want to pay attention to this.
What are they trying to do with your gardens?
Oh, well, that too. You got to get.
I mean, they're not just coming after animals; they're coming after all food.
Yeah.
And especially.
Well, John.
Yes.
John, like when we're talking about the government coming in, is this like through congressional laws that have been passed, or is this like the administrative state of like the USDA and places like that are just governing themselves kind of how they see fit?
It's more the governance of the offices of the government, like USDA.
So it's bureaucracy. It's not even state law or federal law.
Yes and no.
I mean,
these bureaucracies are telling them, hey, you're going to do this. So the states and the federal government doesn't want to fight them. And they're saying it's because of disease or, you know, what's best for the people. It's all nonsense. And here's some statistics in 2010, there was a study done that only 18% of the people were participating in the metal tags put in cattle ears. They did some more research, and USDA estimates on the EID tags, the mandate, they'll be lucky to get 11%. And it goes on to say that they will not be able to trace nothing with this a little bit of a decrease of 7% from this mandated thing, because people are upset to no end about this mandate. Before, these metal tags, you could put them in on your property, and you know, if you never left them, you could put them in, just check for bangs or whatever. But if you went across state lines, you had to do it. But now these people that lives like in southern Oklahoma, and they sell their cattle in Texas, do you think they're putting these tags in across state lines? Or are they using a bogus address in Texas? I mean, that's what's going to happen. And they're saying down here at the bottom of this, they're saying, it's because of disease. And it's foot and mouth disease is their big scream that they want to stop this for. You hear about how it's going to wipe out the cattle. Foot and mouth's going to wipe out the cattle. It's going to wipe out the cattle. Okay, it's going to do the same thing to sheep and goats also. Foot and mouth is going to go after everything. And they're not saying a thing about it's going to kill the deer, the elk, the moose. You're not hearing a thing about that. Your wildlife's going to be gone too. This foot and mouth doesn't stop with just cattle. It goes.
And let's point this out too. Where does CJD? Sorry, I get in my epidemiology mode, and then I say things that people don't understand. Mad cow. Where does mad cow come from in Oklahoma? Do you know, John?
Mad cow disease. It was. They say it's caused by feeding them back animal products to the animal. So, like if you feed back cattle fat back in your feed, that's what causes mad cow disease. It messes up the brain.
Yeah, but that only works if a cow actually had it, and they've never really determined that fat can carry those prions. A prion is actually what causes mad cow disease. It's not really a virus. It's not really a bacteria. It's something completely different. But here's the interesting thing. Do you know that the reservoir for mad cow disease is in deer and elk and other cervids?
Yes, and they call it something else. Like they'll call it like waste chronic disease and those things like that.
Or CJD, which is Yakov Khrushchev disease or whatever, the guy who named it. And so people they'll call it CJD, but they don't call it mad cow, which is essentially the same disease. It's just in a different animal. So we have to keep these tags to control all of this stuff. But just as you pointed out, we're not controlling our wildlife. We're not going out and tagging and testing all of the wildlife. Now they did, if I remember correctly, the wildlife department did start collecting some deer just to test kind of randomly to see if they could find CJD. But that's not the point. The point of the matter is, the disease that we've been dealing with is called CL, cautious lymphadenitis. Where does that come from? A fly. Do you get symptoms immediately? No. Those animals have the symptoms and they don't. So how are you going to tag these animals? This is the only reason I'm saying this, John, is because it makes sense to show people that if all of these diseases can come in from other parts of the population, how are you going to monitor these with a tag?
You're not going to monitor them all. I mean, it's the same thing with this, the fly coming up that eats flesh. It gets in a womb and it eats meat. It doesn't eat the raw material. And it's down in Mexico. And it's a big talk right now. You're not going to stop by putting an EID tag in their ear. You're not going to do it. And are you going to trace it any better? No. It takes the people on the ground, the farmers, to call up and say, hey, I got the fly, or I got this disease. If you make people mad, like you're doing with these EID tags and mandating they have to put it in, they're not going to call up the government and say, hey, I got this out here. They're going to go shoot the thing and bury it and hope it's never found. And if it goes to the neighbor, that's their problem. And that's what's going to happen.
And I'm going to back you up on that. So what ended up happening is we have a closed herd. That means that we don't buy animals from sale barns or other people to bring in. We have a closed herd. And so nothing basically can come in. Well, we started seeing these weird sores on the faces of some of our sheep. And we were like, what is this? We've never even seen this before. So I started looking it up. it looked like something called caseous lymphadenitis, which is a pseudo tuberculosis. It's in the tuberculosis family, and it's passed by flies. But then if a sheep actually gets it and they have this thing on them at all, and it bursts, then it can give, it's very infectious, and other animals in the flock can get it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do they die of this stuff? Well, they can die a little earlier, but they don't die. Is the meat damaged if they have this? No, you can still eat the meat of an animal who has this, unless they have these internal things, which are few and far between. But a butcher would stop that and say, we're not going to process this animal. So is there any way that this could hurt other people, even if you didn't know you had it, or you did know you had it and you sold it to somebody else? Is this going to be the end of the world for anybody? No. But by God, what ended up happening with us is, because we're good stewards of our farm animals, we were like, well, what is this? So I called up my vet. My vet came out. She took pulled a syringe of material out of one of the lesions to have it tested, and then here's the big thing, took a blood test. So we found out that the stuff inside the sore was caseous lymphadenitis. When she ran the blood test, OSU, which was the lab that did the blood test, did 3 other tests with the one we thought she was doing. So stop there. We turned it over to our vet to get a blood test so we could determine which ones had it, so we could work on remediating it. OSU, instead of doing 1 test, did 4. You following me so far?
I guarantee you one of them is scrapies too.
Next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call from the state veterinarian.
Yes.
Just to let you know, your animals have a disease called Johne's, which is this intestinal disease that does cause significant mortality in animals if they actually get it, and you shouldn't sell them if they have it. But here's what I was told. And so the state vet is going to come out and check all my animals and then kill off any that have it. And so far, you've been shown to at least have 1 or 2 animals that have that. So I didn't ask for the test number 1. OSU lab did all 3. OSU lab contacted the state veterinarian. And here's the thing that most people don't know. They got the wrong person involved here, because my background is in bacteriology and epidemiology. So they said, well, you have this positive test. I said, what kind of test is it? Well, it's an antibody test. I said, you did an antibody. An antibody test is very broad. Okay. So if you give an animal or a person an antibody test, you really, in order to make sure they have, or they've been exposed at a high level, you really have to do a titer. And I don't want to go into all of the things that make sense. But here's the thing. If you do an antibody test on an animal and it's for disease, any disease in that family of diseases will pop positive for that as well. That doesn't mean your animals have it. It just means it's in the same family and it's going to pop positive. Does that make sense?
Yep.
We didn't have Johne's. We didn't have it. I had to pay money to get a PCR test to make sure that we didn't have it. But the state vet was going to come over and start killing my animals.
Sounds like a pre-run of COVID, Jenny.
I call it a dormant, because it's dormant in there and it will never do nothing. Never.
Well, and that's not even dormancy, though. That's not even dormancy, because dormancy would be that they actually have it, but they're not expressing it. This isn't, they didn't even have it. It was a positive test because what we had, CL, is in the same family of bacteria. So how many animals are they killing because people don't even know how to read an antibody test?
A lot.
I'm telling you, it's bad, John. This is bad, bad, bad.
Yes, it is. A lot worse than a lot of people think it is. And I got a little slide that kind of talks about OSU too. And
Good. Well, keep going. And I'm sorry to interject there, but I just want
it's
everybody to
the
understand
very
this
next
is a
one,
big
Jenny.
thing. Do what?
It's the very next slide.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
5 years ago, sitting at the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association meeting. I used to be a member of them, and I am no longer. They're out there talking about vet techs want to change their name to be a nurse. Not a vet nurse, a nurse. Vet techs want to be called nurses. Well, the question was, is if you go into your doctor, is your doctor going to say, well, the nurse is going to come in and see you? Well, is it a vet tech or is it going to be a real nurse? Now, isn't that plumb silly? I mean, we're going to get our butt hurt because we're not nurses. We're not doctor or animal nurses. You know, that blew my mind. I tell that story and people look at me and say, "Oh, that didn't happen." Oh, yes, it did. Then EID, RFID tags. These things have been being pushed for years and years and years. RCAF USA, which is a national cattle group, has fought these tags for years, have gotten injunctions to get them stopped and everything else. Well, your state vet was at the meeting 5 years ago at OCA. He was pushing these EID tags saying we have to have them for disease traceability because all we got to have is this fancy little wand to run over their ear and we can say, hey, this is the number of this animal. Well, the number of that animal is going to tell you it's diseased or not. I mean, it's ridiculous. But your state vets are pushing hard for this stuff too.
Yes, they are.
It's ridiculous. OSU,
and they're not elected people.
No, they're not. It's more your bureaucracy telling the government and the people what to do and how to do it. And it's not right at all.
Nope.
And I put another notation in this, they found mad cow disease in 5 days. I mean, it's ridiculous the stuff they're pushing on us. Okay, here's some examples of the ear tags. That metal tag you was talking about that's in cattle is the same one used in sheep too. But these are scrapey tags, and it like the XX in Oklahoma, that would be an OK. And in Kansas, be KS, Arkansas, AR. And then it's got the numbers after that, the prefix numbers after that, and that's your premise number. So if something happens and your animals go somewhere, the government's going to come flying out to your place. If they found scrapies and one of your scrapie tags is in an animal, they're going to come to your place and check your animals out regardless. It's going to happen to you. And in this photo, I put some of the application guns that you got to use to put these things on. You can no longer buy these things anymore. I mean, get them for free. You have to buy your scrapie tags. I'll get into that a little later. Then here's a little reader over here on the side for EID or RFID tags. The cheapest one I could find was $1,300.
And so you have to have that.
No, you don't. You don't have to.
Okay.
You don't have to have that. But you're going to have all these little pliers to put in these scrapie tags in. And every one of these scrapie tags takes a different applicator to put it in. And these applicators, a lot of them are $30, $40, $50 a piece.
Yeah.
I mean, all this stuff just adds up a little at a time. These tags, $2 to $5 a piece is what I run across digging on them. Okay, here's your cattle EID tags. I just love this 840 that's on all tags. That is the sign number to the United States. Does that kind of throw up a red flag right there? The 840 is the number assigned to the USA. So if that is an assigned number to the USA, who's behind making these tags be mandatory? The United Nations, the world agendas. And nobody's like, oh, big deal. I'm sorry, we got problems because we got foreign countries also telling us what to do and how to do it. On here, it's also showing a few different types of the tags that's out there on these animals that you can get. These are the other countries that I could find. UK, United Kingdom. I found one for Australia, but when I tried to print it, it wouldn't do it. So all these also have got their own numbers. These numbers on these tags are the other countries' numbers, just like our 804 for the United States. So this is not a United States thing. This is the disease traceability of the world, a control thing, because they're wanting your cattle numbers down. You remember I made a comment, there's one country, they have already removed 50% of their cattle in that country. And they did it by using EID tags, knowing who had what. And it's all a control factor. Some more rules and regulations thrown into this EID, RFID tags, and scrapie tags both. Now, this is what old Dad told me yesterday. According to the rules. And I said, is that a law? And she said, by our rules. She would never say law. She said, by our rules. That's the reason why that's in red.
See, that's why we have to stop right there. That's got to stop. And don't forget this is important because we've got a nice audience. This is important, everybody, and listen up. The United States Supreme Court in, I believe it was April, ruled against the Chevron doctrine. That is a huge thing because for years, all kinds of government agencies, particularly the EPA, was able to get away with all kinds of ruining people's lives because of their rules. And then if somebody would go take them to court and say, you can't ruin my life over this thing, EPA, it's not even a law. They would go, well, it's one of our rules. And under the Chevron doctrine, we're allowed to make rules and to promulgate rules and make everybody follow the rules. Well, the Supreme Court went, well, you know what? Not so fast. We're not doing that anymore because it's ruining people's lives and it's ruining producers and all kinds of things. So they removed that. So now really all we have to do, not like this is easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying some producers need to get together. See, that would be what would be great about the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association, but they're all screwed up like everybody else and part of the UN system. But what should happen is organizations like the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association should be suing the crap out of the USDA. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's get back to this slide.
Okay.
Anybody that's wanting to show animals. So how many people have show animals and show animals only for their kids to go to these barns or county fairs, state fairs, and all that, show animals? By their rules, I'm not going to say law, by their rules, you have to have a EID or a scrapie tag in the animals. So if you're going to show cattle, you have to have this EID tag in the animal. In order to get your EID tag, you got to go get your premise number and fill out all the paperwork in order to even buy these tags. I found a small group on Premier, and that's a place to buy these tags, and they're going to be $7.50 for 4 tags. The applicator gun is going to cost you $36. I mean, just another expense and another, bureaucracy of you have to have these in their ear. And it has to be a federal identification number. The same thing goes for scrapie tags for goats and sheep. So how far is this going to go? And here, the next slide is something that popped up this year at the fair in another state. And this just blows my mind to no end. The county fair beef checkoff is telling everybody that sells an animal, if they sell that animal, they got to pay $1. If it's a calf or cattle, they have to pay $1 to the beef checkoff every time they sell an animal. So we're going to make all these kids pay $1 to this checkoff. I think that's plumb silly. It's kind of funny how this came out the same year EID, FID, RFID mandates came out. I mean, is this coincidental? No. To me, this is all set up, and it's all over greed for a simple $1 of our kids going to a fair and selling an animal. If they sell it, they have to pay in that $1. And the fines for that, if you don't, if they want to come after you, make you an example, you won't like it. That just galls my backside to no end. They're messing with kids.
They're messing with all of us, not just kids. It's all of us.
Well, yes. The cost of these EID tags, when they first started it, they said it was going to cost the USDA, the taxpayers, $15 million for these EID tags to be put in cattle in the United States. I did some digging. I could not find my old notes. I dropped my old computer. I dropped it and broke it. So a lot of this stuff I had to totally redo.
Oh, no.
Some of it I was able to pull out, some I could not. But that's just what happens. But this $15 million of taxpayers' money, so it's just like you said, Jenny, even though you don't eat beef, you're paying for this. Your taxpayers' money is paying for this. They say this $15 million is not even going to cover half of the cost of it. Now, think about this for a minute, too. This is just for the tags itself. What about all the readers that they don't have to put in at the sale barns? All the readers that these government agencies are going to have to start carrying around now. That cost is not in there. That cost is going to be.
But how many more people are you going to have to hire to be able to run around and read these damn tags? So you've got that too.
That's another thing. They're pushing their rules and their regulations off on the sale barns and saying, "Hey, you're going to do this." Yeah. So the sale barns are going to be forced to do this. Then the sale barns are going to start charging the people selling the cattle more of a commission fee to sell your cattle. So instead of it being $30 to sell your cattle, is it going to be $60? Is it going to be $100? $1 a head to sell your cattle.
And then what ends up happening there? You have to pass that on to the consumer. So again, it causes the price of meat to go up.
Yes. The good old trickle down. And there's only one thing that trickles down, and it's not money.
Nope. It's poop.
I said in my little disclaimer, I'd be nice. Yeah. But these tags are going to cost people a lot. And people that don't think it's going to cost them, it's going to cost them big time.
Well, and look at this, Lisa. We've gotten some good comments. I'm just kind of holding them until we get done here. But how they say the USDA is allocated as though the USDA has $15 million to allocate in the first place. I mean, that's the point. That's the big point. Go ahead.
This here, it's nothing but control. That's all this is, control.
Yep. Absolutely.
And if you go read the website on the USDA about these EID tags, in the middle of this, it says carbon credits and cattle. You can say what you want, but carbon credits is happening in all other countries now. these EID tags hit, carbon credits hit at the same time. That same country is the one that eliminated 50% of their cattle in that country. They go hand in hand. And you're not going to convince me different. Now we're going to get back to my little bubble slide thing that really got me. This is how it started out when I started on this thing 4 to 5 years ago. I started it in 2020, and it was after I talked to those 3 friends I was telling you about that I visit with a lot on social media. Tracy Hunt did a presentation I watched in 2017. And when we visited, this got me to thinking, because National Beef, USPB, and CAB. CAB is Certified Angus Beef. USPB is United States Premium Beef. They got their own, that is Angus Association. They've got their own cattle that they feed in feedlots. National Beef is one of the big 4 packers. Now, the Stockers and Packers, I can't even talk, Act says that you cannot own cattle and be a feed processor. It's against the law. That is a law. That's not a rule. That's a law.
What?
But yet we have got the Angus Association that has their certified Angus beef. They have got their own feedlots, and they own part of National Beef. We have a problem here. And this all goes back to sustainable beef, which whenever I hear the word sustainable, which is the Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef, the GRSB, and USRB is United States Roundtable Sustainable Beef, has all joined together with USPB, and they have got their own feedlots that only certain cattle can go in there, be fed certain things so that they can be sustainable. It's a racket. This is the finished slide that I did, and it would have been finished in 23, I believe, 24. And I've added to it since then. But I'm kind of hammering on Angus Association because they do have their own feedlot and their own packer. And this thing gets real in depth. Trying to explain this is hard to do. But if you go here to Cattle Trace over here on the left side of this, it says U.S. Cattle Trace, and it's right next to USDA. U.S. Cattle Trace is the one that's heading up and getting all the information for these EID tags. Cattle Trace is owned by he's a chairman, Mark Grady. I can't even say his name. Gradier is the chairman of Cattle Trace and USBP. So right here, to me, we already got a conflict of interest of a feedlot, and I'm going to call it a feedlot. There's more to it than that. And a government or a public-private partnership with the USDA and Cattle Trace to keep track of these things for the government. We've already got a problem. And he's also tied in big time with the Angus Association, which is going to promote and push CAB beef, the National Beef, and USBP. And National Beef is aligned and associated with Walmart, the biggest seller of beef in the United States.
I'm laughing because here's the bottom line. You've got people that want to make money, and that's all they care about. And that's all they want to do. They want to have power over an industry, and they want to be able to make money. And what these people do is they get in bed with the government to have the government use rules and regulations, and in some cases laws to enforce a way of doing business that will allow them to climb to the top of the heap and to screw over all the smaller producers. That's how that works.
And then if you get right in the middle of this image, it says NCBA. Well, NCBA is the National Cattle Group. They claim to be the largest and all that, and they are, because they use all their state affiliates as members of them. The Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association is an affiliate of the NCBA. The NCBA does more to harm the American cattle producer than any organization, and that is just my opinion. I want to state that. That's my opinion. And I say that because of what I see they do, what they do, and how they do it. I always joke around. There's a reason why their national convention every year is called Cattle Con.
That's great.
Now, real quick, John, National is not owned by Americans anymore, correct? Aren't they owned? Aren't they a subsidiary of some South American company now?
Both. Brazil owns part of National Beef. JBS is totally Brazilian owned, but National Beef is partially owned by Brazil. And if you look down here at that thing, it says in 2011, the majority of the ownership was sold so that they from USPB down to 15 or 18%, depends on which aspect you want to look up on the internet. It tells you they had to let go some of their national beef to keep the government off of their back, but still they're still breaking the law when it comes to the Stockers and Packyards Act. So, I mean, you're not supposed to be able to own a packing house in the cattle boat. It's against the law. And that's the reason why we're in the shape now, is the government has not enforced these laws. They've let the people in these positions, like the feedlots that I was telling you about earlier, controlling 80 to 85, 87%, and these packers, depends on who you want to listen to, anywhere from 85 to 91% of the beef that is processed in the United States, it goes through them. So, with these monopolies being as they are, the laws are not being enforced. And with this,
well, like when you say monopolies, are we talking about like these are like the South American company literally has a monopoly on the entire United States beef industry?
Yes. And you got JBS, National Beef, Cargill, and I went blank on the fourth one. One of the guys will comment, will say
is IBP still around?
IBP got bought out. They are no longer around. And I'm not going to tell you who bought National Beef without having a slide in front of me, or I'll misquote it.
Well, I remember, John, my dad used to work at National Beef. He was in upper management. And I remember the first time JBS came in, this was probably kind of late 2000s, early mid 2000s, when JBS came to buy National Beef, and the U.S. government blocked them at that time, because that was literally one of the last standing, completely American owned beef companies. So I guess, my dad had retired since then, but I guess all that is just completely changed now.
Yes. Well, don't quote me on this, but if I'm not mistaken, National Beef is the one that bought out bought out IBP. When I lived up in Kansas, IBP was in Emporia, Kansas up there. I used to haul cattle to IBP and sell them straight off the farm. They was not my cattle. I hauled them in for other people. I remember going to the feedlot and selling, or the packer and selling cattle. You can't do that these days, because the feedlots have got control and have stopped you from doing it. You can't, that's done. And it's hurt. But, they talk about your vertical integration. Well, this slide right here, going right through the middle of it, National Beef, the USBP and CAB, that is nothing but vertical integration, big time. That's all that is. They are cutting out the little farmers and ranchers, and putting us out of business.
Well, that's the whole point of that RFID in the EID tags, is just to put that much more burden and cost on every small guy, every small rancher out there.
Yes.
Now you're going to have just complete integration into that vertical system, 100%. And our entire food, our entire beef is going to be controlled by some international, global international company that we have no, there's no check and balance for the American people on in any way whatsoever.
And it's down there. And JBS just got the okay from the government to be on the stock market now. So JBS is a tradable commodity.
Wow.
And to me, that is a big conflict, being a foreign country. And I wish I had the slide in front of me. I've got it, but I'm going to go off of memory, so don't quote this. 3 years ago, JBS got $80 million from the U.S. government in subsidies during COVID.
Well,
don't quote me on that. I'm going off of memory.
Well, do our congressmen, do they just not understand this in any way? I mean, is this just coming from like the administrative bureaucracy state within the USDA and the UN, places, agencies like that? I mean, yes. I guess our representatives that we elect, they just literally have no idea about the food security and farming and ranching security of this country, I guess.
Well, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in on that. And absolutely they don't. I mean, until I was involved in this, I had no idea how bad that was. And until what happened to us just recently, I had no idea how thick this web is that they use for surveillance, even on little teeny tiny people like me. So no, I think number one, they don't know. But the second thing, and this is that, well, there are three things involved. Number one, they just flat don't know. So number two, the big guys come in and they get out their checkbook. How much do you want for, we can make a campaign donation. What would you like in terms of a campaign donation? Right? We see that happen in Oklahoma all the time. Oklahoma Chamber of Commerce. How many times do we have laws passed just because our legislators, the people we elect, go, oh, yes, Chamber, we want to make sure all Oklahoma kids have jobs, right? So it's the same kind of thing. Then, because they're ignorant, they come in and they say, this stuff, disease XYZ, is going to kill everybody in the known universe. Bird flu. Let's use bird flu. Bird flu is going to kill everybody in the known universe. We have to crack down on this right now. And so we're going to go in and we're going to get those producers and we'll kill all the, and they're going, oh, okay. All right. Well, we don't want that getting out. It's the COVID thing all over again. Mm-hmm. What the government is doing today is using fear as a form of tyranny. It's like, once John's finished, we'll talk a little bit about scrapie and sheep, which is another thing that, like so many of these diseases, it's not going to kill anybody. If your sheep die, okay, that's on you. But even if you take an infected one to a sale barn, it's not going to cause everybody in the known universe to die. You're going to have some losses in your own stock. Well, guess what? That's what happens when you raise animals. They get a disease, somebody eats them, lightning hits them. It's not a process that's pristine and antibiotic. I mean, it's life. It happens. So to think that what's going on is all out of fear because people are scared of things that they don't understand. And that's that and money and power is exactly what's going on. I mean, did I hit the nail on the head there, John?
Yes, you did. I mean, it nails it the bit. And when you said that, it made me think of this comment that I put down here at the bottom is, where these EID tags are going to benefit somebody, and it's not going to be the small independent farmer rancher, because we're not going to get paid a premium for putting these tags in the ear. In fact, you know, a lot of small independent guys are in a premium program now because they are raising excellent cattle. When these EID tags come in and everybody has to follow a certain thing, you think those premium programs are going to stay around? No. So these farmers in these premium programs have just lost everything. You know, it's not good. This next slide, I added a little bit to it. Jeff Bezos, he handed over millions to the Angus Association so they could study cow farts, because cow farts are killing the world.
That's right.
You know, that's all of that climate control and that carbon capture stuff. And this is all a hot topic. It has been for 7 years, and it's been hot. The Bezos thing has made more light to it, so where people are starting to wake up. And the thing about it is, who's really going to make money? The companies selling the ear tags, or the large companies that's going to benefit off of the ear tags itself? It's not going to be the small independent guys. Here's another one that ought to just make people just matter and fire, because you need a little bit of common sense and a little critical thinking. We moved our bio lab from out there on Plum Island. Is out there to where if human error, now let me rephrase that, human error happened, it would stay on the island, because most diseases cannot cross salt water. It will kill them. Or it's far enough out, it can't make landfall in enough time to where it kills the disease. They moved that to the heart of the United States in Manhattan, Kansas, right in the middle of cattle country. And what is their number one disease that they have in that lab they are screaming about? Foot and mouth disease. It's in that lab. So if we have a human error in this lab, what's going to happen? And Kansas State has got a huge cattle research area up there. It's going to hit that, and it's going to go wild. Now, does that make a lot of sense to move that diseases and that bio lab to Manhattan, Kansas? I mean,
but don't forget, John, just because it was on Plum Island, remember they did all of the injecting of Borrelia and the tick-borne diseases into the ticks and in the mosquitoes on Plum Island. And what happened? They got out, and that's why we have so many tick-borne diseases in the United States, particularly in the northeast part of the country around where Plum Island is. So it doesn't matter. They shouldn't be doing any of this crap anyway.
Yeah, when I was doing this 4 years ago, when I was digging on my research, the stuff that they did out at Plum Island, I mean, jaw dropping. I did the gene like, oh no. Oh, yeah. It's unreal what they do out there.
Yep.
Foot and mouth disease. That's the main thing for these EID tags. They're saying we got to trace it. What about food security? You know, we're hurting ourselves. You know, by moving Plum Island, we're hurting ourselves by doing our imports and all that. I mean, it's just. I'll just leave that alone. But that's the end of my presentation there.
Well, you know, back on that vertical integration, John, where literally American beef is controlled internationally, obviously. But where is all the Make America Great Again people? Where's all the MAGA? You know, where's all the antitrust? Where's the monopoly laws? I mean, where is all that stuff? I mean, how can you literally let the thing that we pioneered in this country go down this road?
Don't know.
You want literally mind-blowing to me. I mean, it's unbelievable that we let the food security of beef in this country go away from farmers, local farmers and ranchers, and go into this vertical situation here.
Well, I can tell you how that happened too. And this was a weird, I mean, it makes sense when you really think about it, but this actually came full force to me through social media one day. So there was a post that I was watching, and it had something to do with about like what we're talking about today. And I saw all of these people, and it was against, it was against what we're talking about. And I saw all these people on there putting laughing emojis and going, yeah, that's all in your head, and making comments like that. So I started tracing them back to their Facebook accounts. These are all young people that are globalists. They've been taught this in college in their ag programs, because don't forget, the communists have inserted themselves into every conceivable form of government at this point. That was their whole plan. They've done that since well before the 20s, but the 20s was the big ramp up, right? To get the communists into embedded into government. And so that's just what's happened. So they've taken over the government, but they've also been going out to private organizations like Certified Angus Beef and the Cattlemen's Association and the United States Cattlemen's Association. They go out and they go to these meetings and they say, well, we need to have this, because the whole idea of the communist takeover, the way that it's happening, and don't forget, people, we actually are there. We've got communist China owning a huge chunk of the United States right now, with legislators, elected officials only giving lip service to that, not actually following through with the laws that are going to prevent that. Okay. So let's not pretend that this isn't happening. So what ends up happening is that once they get embedded into these national groups, the national groups then go and lobby our elected officials to get the USDA and the Ag Service and all of these other government organizations to follow the whole UN track of, it's got to be globalist. We've got to put everybody on the same track. We've got to do all of these things that they want to do. That's exactly what they're doing here. And most people are driven by fear. You say scrapie, or you say something like mad cow, because people, unfortunately, we don't really understand prion disease as well at all. And like I said, a prion is not really a virus. It's not really a bacteria. It's a totally different thing. And people don't understand that well. But instead of just saying to yourself, okay, well, we don't know what it is, let's just go ahead, we'll call that animal from the herd, we'll, burn it, or, do whatever, we need to do as producers. No, we have to have the federal government come in, or we have to have a national organization come in and then direct us how to behave. And this is what is killing us. This is why food prices are going up. This is why everything that we're seeing happening right now is happening. We've got to make it stop. And the only way to do it is to elect people to elective office who are going to stand up and say, no, you don't get to operate under a set of rules. That's not the way this works. We're going to deny your ability to make rules unless we oversee the rules to make sure that the liberty of the people in the citizens are cared for and taken care of. That's what we need to do. We don't have that right now, because so many elected officials are not public servants. They don't really care about tyranny versus liberty. They don't care about that. They like it when they get the fat check to deposit into their account, and that's all they care about.
Yep.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you're talking about how our food's messed with and everything. Made in Oklahoma. I learned this 5 years ago, sitting at the Capitol in the interns study up there. If it's can have the sticker on it, made in Oklahoma. It only has to be processed in Oklahoma. The product itself can come from another country.
Yeah.
Not just United States, another country. So that the one they used, for example, was a beef jerky, and that is processed in Oklahoma. But the meat is coming from another country.
Argentina or wherever.
Australia.
Or Australia. Yeah.
So, this labeling of stuff is messed up. It ought to say processed in USA. It shouldn't say Oklahoma product or something like that.
Correct.
Because it's not. It's processed in Oklahoma.
It should say Argentinian beef processed in the United States is what it should say.
Yes.
I'll just say labeled in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And the reason why I know that is I was up there in an intern study, because I was a little bit part of it, over truthful labeling of beef and pork in Oklahoma. And during that intern study, the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association, Farm Bureau, and the Oklahoma Pork Council come up there and said, this is against the law. We cannot do it. We cannot truthfully label our products of beef and pork in Oklahoma. It's against the law. Oklahoma State University had a guy come down and also said it would not be a good thing to do, that it would hurt the sales of Oklahoma products. Let that sink in.
Let me put up a couple of comments that we've had up here. Dorn had a comment that was a really good one. I asked a USDA rep pitching these RFID tags at a recent Oklahoma cattleman meeting. Will you start tracking cattle grazed on fields fertilized with biosludge so as to potentially correlate livestock illnesses associated with known viruses, pathogens, PFAs, pharmaceuticals, etc.? He told me that they didn't have the staff to input that data on the tag.
Wow.
So the point is, what the hell good is that tag if you can't even add data to it that's actually germane to the health of people eating the beef or the pork or the lamb or the whatever? That's how you know this is all flat crap. That's how you know right there.
It's a literal scam.
It's a scam. Abusing farmers is the biggest conservative Jedi trick. And I would have to agree with that. This affects everyone. I don't care if you're a vegetarian. How long do you think before something like this comes to milk or eggs or even some weird tagging for soy products? If it's government operated, it will soon come to your plate.
Yeah.
And they want to kill all the animals, so we have to eat crickets. And if again, don't give me the putting on the aluminum foil tin hat thing, because I'm not going to eat. I don't even care. You can say it, but you're the problem, not me. You. If you're going to play the aluminum foil tin hat game, you're the problem, not me. Because if you can't see just from this program how we're all being forced into a funnel that's based on money and power, that's based on the UN model, then I think you're the one with the problem, not me. So it's global, a global endeavor, a one world regulation, a one world order. Jenny, get together with other small farmers and sue the crap out of them. That's what we're going to have to do. I mean, again, the way the Chevron doctrine got overturned and this is important. So listen, we've got a huge audience. If you're a producer or you know of one, and I don't care mainly if you're a small producer, this is how the Chevron doctrine got overturned. So the USDA was telling fishermen that they could only fish in these certain areas and that they had to have hang on a second. It was material, and I don't remember what it was, but it was like the RFID tag. It was like something like that. And the USDA was forcing these fishermen to put so much money into complying with the USDA regulations, that it was putting these fishermen out of business because they simply couldn't operate while they were trying to do all of the, shell out the money that it takes to operate in an increasing cost structure to just operate. Then they had to follow these USDA rules and regulations, which were also costing them just butt tons of money. So a bunch of these small fishermen went together and filed a lawsuit against the USDA, and it worked its way up to the US Supreme Court, where they said, no, this is completely wrong. You guys can't just make these rules to screw over people and say that that's part of your dictate as a federal agency, is to prescribe these rules. You can't just do that. So it's going to take, like Lisa said, a bunch of us little people getting together and suing the USDA to say, we're not doing your stupid RFID tag thing. Yeah. It's not going to happen. You're not going to trace all of our stuff. We'll do what we want.
Well, and how do we get here in the first place, Jenny? They keep making all these rules. They're bureaucratic, their own in-house rules, and we just keep playing by their rules instead of just following the law that's actually written to protect us in one way or another.
But that's the other thing. And that's a huge, huge thing, because when we got into this over this CL stuff, we didn't understand that the veterinarian, when she took that blood, that stupid lab is mandated by USDA rules or Oklahoma ag rules to do so many of these. They take the blood that you've given them and then they just run it for all these diseases that they've decided are important. We didn't know that. We thought we were being good stewards of our flock, and we were trying to make sure what they had so that we could remediate it and get them healthy, and so we're not selling animals that are ill or whatever. So we didn't even know, and our vet didn't even really know that OSU, Oklahoma State University, that we pay taxes to, was going to run all of these diseases out of this one blood supply that we gave them, this one blood tube that we gave them, and then turn it in to the USDA, to the state vet. And that the state vet was going to call me and say, well, you can't do this, and this is what we came up with. And that's the problem.
Wow.
And how many people down the road is not Jenny that understands that? And the vet would have come out there and killed every animal on their place, and they'd never known no different.
Bingo.
And that's what's going to happen with these EID tags. And the government already said in their own article off of their own page, only 11% of the people is going to comply. So it's going to be worse than the Bangs test tags now, or the metal tags in the ear. It's going to be worse. And they've already admitted to it.
Well, Well, John, outside of government control, I mean, was there some kind of crisis in the beef industry in the past that kind of escalated us towards this? I mean, you can't really say that mad cow was, because they identified that, in 5 days? So, was there some crisis or something that happened within the farmers and ranchers or whatever that got us to this point? Or is it just complete government control?
It's nothing but control and somebody making money off of it is what this is totally about. There is no crisis of any kind that is hit. Even with this fly that's down in Mexico that eats, live flesh, that hadn't even hit the United States yet. There's been bogus reports of it, but it hadn't even hit yet. There's no disease as far as in cattle stuff. We've had mad cow disease in the United States, and it was back in the 50s or before. They eradicated it once, and it's been gone. Or foot and mouth disease. It's been here before. It's gone. They hadn't had it for years. But yet they still import foreign meat from other countries, from countries that have mad cow disease. They import it into the United States. And to me, there's no common sense in that either, because it's my understanding that mad cow disease can live on flesh that's been processed and coming in. It can still be alive in that. And if the circumstances is just right, it can multiply and build from there.
Well, that's as far as I remember, that's and there may be some new research I don't know about, but when I was with the state health department and CJD had already been identified in cervids, had already been identified in deer and hoofed, wild hoofed animals. And like I said, the problem with the prion is that it reverses. It's hard to explain, and I haven't explained it in a long time, so I'm not going to try to get into it. I just adjure you to study. It's PRION, a disease, prion disease, and like I said, mad cow. But and it is weird. It can reverse DNA. It can go backwards. The way it does, it's very weird. But I don't remember it being, I mean, I thought you pretty much had to get the brain tissue. I don't think there is anything that, I don't think it can really.
That's on your mad cow disease. Yes.
Right. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So really, in all honesty, mad cow disease, I mean, you don't want it traipsing around in things, and you definitely don't want to, some people actually eat brains of animals, and you definitely don't want to do that because they've actually shown that to be the way it's transmitted is eating actual brain that's been infected with that prion. But other than that, it doesn't affect the beef. It's kind of like CL. It doesn't affect the meat. None of this stuff is going to make people who eat the meat sick. So I can't figure out, I mean, the only way that it makes sense, like bird flu, the only way it makes sense is if I can just say, oh, this is the problem, we need to kill everything. And you do it, then you wipe out producers, you wipe out people, you wipe out animals, you cause prices to go up, you keep people from eating. I mean, it's a huge thing. Once people get control over a food supply, they can do anything that they want.
Control.
Disturbing. Very, very disturbing, John Boy.
Lisa says super problematic, and most Christians I know say they should be obeying the government. They want an easy out to absolve themselves for not fighting for what's right. And I think that's true. And again, we go back to that. People defer to government. They still do. Well, they must know what's right. That's BS. It's BS. They don't. They want something out of you. They're not here to help. That's not what they're here to do. They're here to control us. And this thing is, it's part of the way that they're going to do it. Absolutely. Without question. Well, they're doing it to small producers every day.
Well, I'll
go ahead.
I'll take a little rabbit hole about, our beef too. Now, keep in mind, hamburger in the United States can have up to 30% of foreign material in it that is okayed by the USDA. So keep in mind, bugs are a protein source by the USDA's rules and guidelines. So out of that, a certain percent of that 30% that can be non-beef product in hamburger, I'm wanting to say it's like 18 or 24%, I'm going off memory again, can be processed bugs in your hamburger. It could be worms. It could be anything that is a protein source that is okayed by the USDA.
Well, all I can say is this. If people watch this video, and somebody on X has been tweeting out our video this morning, and we have like a bazillion people on. So thank you to Plastic Girl and the others who have been tweeting this out this morning. If people don't watch this video, and those of you who are watching today, make sure that once we're off air, go to our YouTube channel and our Rumble channel. We're just Rope Report. You can find us. We're easy to find. And share this video, because the only thing that's going to stop this is if we collectively realize the threat to our food supply and the threat to ourselves through our food supply and say, no, stop it. It's going to keep happening. And I will say, it was really interesting to me when I went, because of the fact that I have the background in epidemiology and bacteriology, when the state vet pulled that thing about, well, you have yonis or whatever. And I called my vet and I said, you know, as well as I do, that antibody test is going to pop in the same family. There's just you can't tell me that this isn't happening. And she said, no, I mean, you're right. We're going to have to get a PCR test to make sure that your animals don't have this. And I'm like, so now I have to spend the money to get a PCR test to get when we have a closed herd? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't just appear out of nowhere. They want you to not be well educated enough to say that doesn't mean anything. What you're telling me means absolutely nothing, and I'm not paying for that test. And to stand up for yourself. And when I stood up for myself and I called the vet and I said, you tell the state vet we're not doing that, and I will get a PCR test, but I'm only going to get it on one, and that pop positive, and that's going to be the end of this, and we're not going to hear one more damn thing about it. And I think if people would just stand up and say, we're sick of this. You're not going to do it to us anymore. I have some knowledge here, and you're not going to do this. I think if enough of us would do it, it would stop. But people aren't standing up.
Yeah. And all the cost on this is falling back to the producers, even though it's a false thing done by a bureaucracy of a government agency. And they're not spanning the cost for it. It's the producer.
Yeah.
Well, and Lisa makes a really good. Sorry.
Well, no, I was just going to say, John, and the travesty of the whole thing is, we want diversification, decentralization. Now you're consolidating. You've consolidated these larger, the packers and all those into this vertical deal. Now you're getting all the way down to the smallest element of it, the producers and people like that. Now you're consolidating them all down into a single channel also.
Well, it's like they say, it's easier to control a few than it is the masses.
Yep. And that's true. Glenn says, we have too many regulations in our industry, and our reps sell us out every day up there. And they do, Glenn. Yeah. And they do, because they're getting money from the big guys. Yep. You're just a peon. You're like me. You're a peon. They don't care about us. We don't have a big fat checkbook to do that. And again, what's going to solve that problem? Get people into office that will do the right thing. That's the only way to stop this, along with producers standing up and going, I'm not doing that. Kick my butt. I'm not doing that.
I mean, go to any, like a cattle OCA. Go to one of their meetings and look at all the banners up from all of the dadgum feed companies, chemical companies, your medical pharmacy. Look, it's not banners of all their constituents they have or their members. It's the companies. So who do you think they're going to listen to?
Yeah,
it's not the members.
Yeah. Well, John, we're going to have to get off because it's about 2 hours now. And although we, like I said, I mean, thanks guys on Twitter for tweeting this out, because it is a huge thing. And I do appreciate you guys watching. And again, go back to YouTube, go back to Rumble, find the full thing and pull it and share it, because and Lisa says, kiss my grits. That'd be the nice way to do it. Kiss my grits. All right. And we're old country people, so we get that. All right. Well, thanks again, John. You've been a huge eye opener. We're going to have to stay on this and keep talking about it and bringing it up. But thanks so much for being with us today. We sure do appreciate you. And thanks for standing up.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, and John, just from me real quick, and Jenny, I have one more thing I want to show you right after
sure.
John
Okay,
gets
great.
off. But you want to talk about national security? I mean, to me,
Yes.
securing a decentralized, local farmer rancher owned American beef supply has got to be in the top, 5 of national security in this entire country, in my opinion.
Yes.
For sure. For sure. All right. Well, John, thanks again. We sure do appreciate you being with us, and we will we'll hang in there when you've got more information. We may even run another one so that, we can get that information out there. But thanks so much. We appreciate you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Okay. So what did you want to do?
Well, you remember a couple shows ago, I showed you how the one company, the Wi-Fi, the telecommunication company, you're able to track movement in your house through the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes.
So my son sent me this article. So I read this whole thing. You want to talk about mind-blowing, Jenny? Watch this. This is called dense pose from Wi-Fi. So I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I just want you to. So they're talking about the advances in computer vision, like with radar and LiDAR and all these things in the past, how advanced all that is. Well, they said now they can do the exact same thing with Wi-Fi. I just want you to, so we're talking about the Wi-Fi in your house. Like, here's just 2 computers, hooked into Wi-Fi. This is going through a bunch of stuff. I just want you to see a couple of these pictures. Okay. So
I don't want to see this, do I?
Yeah, this is all white paper. So I want to just scroll down here. Look at this. Look at this. This is the Wi-Fi literally creating 3D images of the people inside the classrooms here. And it goes with them in real time. It literally catalogs, every movement that they do is in 3D. Here's this guy standing here. Here's this 3D image. Imagine the data that they're collecting on you right in your own house from your Wi-Fi. I guarantee you, because this article is from 22, Jenny. 22.
Oh my God.
Think 3 years of this technology being already put into place. Just think about you walking around your house and there's a 3D image of you literally being recorded and sent somewhere, all your actions. Think about all the different actions you do in the privacy of your own house. You got Wi-Fi. This is happening whether you know it or not. I guarantee it's happening. Look, these 2 guys talking here. Look at this. Look at this. Guys bouncing a basketball. This guy's bouncing a basketball is taking 3D images of the guy bounces basketball. That's your home Wi-Fi. There you go.
Well, I think, again, we on this show talk about local all the time. You can pay attention to national, you can pay attention to the world, but where are you going to be able to regulate your lives the best? And that's under your feet. It's under your feet. It's at your city council. It's your local school board. It's your local planning commission. It's all of these, your local state government. We have got to get you got to quit. People who are put on planning commissions are super important. We just found out about that in Yukon, where basically Yukon told the citizens, just flip them off and said, well, we're putting this data center in. I don't care whether you like it or not. If we don't start paying attention to what's under our feet, now I don't know what to tell you. It's only going to get worse. If we'll start paying attention to what's under our feet, we might be able to grow our liberty back from the grass up, but we're not going to get it top down. I was a Trump supporter, but some of the stuff he's done is absolutely ridiculous. AI, we're going to educate all kids with AI. That comes to me almost to a point of being demonic. Because you have no idea what's in this AI. You have no idea. And even programmers don't know because they can only program a certain amount. It's getting to the point where if you're not somewhat frightened about this kind of thing, I don't know, maybe playing traffic. Maybe it's time to play the, what was that? Well, the Darwin game. Remember the Darwin game? If you're too dumb to live, then we pull your genes from the gene pool, or you do it yourself, right? If you're too dumb not to know to play in traffic, then you'll get hit by a car and it wipes those genes out of the gene pool. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're getting to a point where things are getting a little frightening.
Well,
and then
you hit the nail on the head. We have got to get some people elected that, first of all, aren't just going to go play Rhino Boy with all the rest of these guys in leadership the way that it's working. We need to be sovereign. We're Oklahoma. We're not a subsidiary of this global whatever. We're Oklahoma. We have our own constitution. We need to take care of our people, our farmers, our ranchers, our oil and gas people. They come first, period. And no one's going to do that.
You mean it's not okay to sell U.S. land to China or to the United Arab Emirates so we can get a steel smelter?
Yeah, don't even get me started on that. Well, and we've already we're selling out all the windmill deals and the transmission lines, the carbon capture plant, and all those lines. I mean, we're just selling out. We're selling out to these massive corporate interest deals, and I can't take it.
And the people who are supposed to protect us aren't even protecting us. So think about when we reported on the fact that Oklahoma has the second largest carbon capture facility in the world. Think on that. We reported that. Well, shouldn't carbon capture, those pipelines can rupture and kill people. They can kill animals. They can kill anything within a specific radius. Why do you suppose there's nobody in Oklahoma? Because our Governor Stitt was in on that. Governor Stitt was all there when they opened that up. He and a whole bunch of other elected representatives, but nobody came out and said, well, we'd like to make sure everybody knows we're the second largest carbon capture facility in the world. How does that happen? Because these people don't give a crap about us. I mean, we elect them and then they don't give a crap about us. If we don't start taking back the power that we're granted by the Constitution, they're going to continue to do it. And again, it's got to start under our feet. It's got to start locally. And we've just got to start going up, kicking these people out and taking we the people need to take the government by the people, of the people, for the people back.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up the best examples, that Chevron ruling. I mean, literally, we can't let the administrative state control our lives, because they're just going to keep going. They're going to add more and more regulations, more and more rules, more and more this, more and more that. And until we just stand up to them and say, hey, F you, man, we're not doing that anymore.
Well, and I'm going to make a point. I put my money where my mouth is. That's why I'm suing the election board. And by the way, my deposition is on Monday. So I really need prayers from viewers to make sure that, I'm truthful and speak well and that kind of thing, because my deposition is on Monday. But it's the same way. You can't make up your rules and then just go, oh, this is what we're going to do instead of following state law. Well, no, state law comes from elected representation. Most of it's crap. Most of it's unnecessary and crap. But again, our elected representatives did that. Those rules that come from the state agencies, that's all bureaucracy and is meaningless. It's simply meaningless. And we've got to stand up and start saying, it's meaningless. I'm not doing that. By the way, not following that rule.
Yeah. It only matters if we go along with them. That's the only way that they're going to be able to do anything. It's just like that caucus situation, Jenny, where now they can remove all the light that's going to be shown on them inside the Capitol, and they can go into the little caucus and do whatever they want and invite and pick winners and losers right there in private.
Yep, that's exactly right. Which is why we frown on caucus, hate caucus, tell them to quit caucusing, because elected representation isn't about a group of legislators. It's about a legislator protecting the individual liberty of the individual citizen who is in their individual district.
Yeah.
That's what that's about. Period. End of discussion.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're running a little bit late, but again, we appreciate everybody who was on today. Thank you for being with us. We sure do appreciate you. Anything going on this weekend, Michael?
No, but I think you need to plug Okana quick.
Oh yes, we do
And
need to do that.
And you need to also, anyone that can donate to Jenny, because she's flipping the bill to fight the election board over their corrupt practices. And where can people donate to that too? On the website?
Give, Send, Go. But yes, you can find that at the top of the website. If you go to rope2.org, you see it. Well, we don't even have it on here. I need to do that. Rope2.org is our website. Go to rope2.org. You'll find my Give, Send, Go on the top right hand, and a little bit of an explanation about what is going on with the election board, why I would even enter into that. We are having Liberty Oklahoma is an organization. You can go to that website, libertyoklahoma.org. You can go there and you can find out about our Liberty Oklahoma conference that will be coming up in November from the 13th to the 15th. So we've still got a little bit of time, but it's going to be at Okana, the new big water park entertainment explosion area from 540, and it'll be there from the 13th to the 15th. And basically what we're going to do at Liberty Oklahoma is we're going to teach you how to read a bill, how to interact with your local legislatures, what are your local governments, what are your local governments, do you even know what they are? We're going to have some legislators there that are going to participate in a round table. They're going to talk about what the important issues are coming up for next session, because we need to be prepared. We need to be prepared and get an idea of what's going on at that state capitol. And we need to be in contact with our representatives and say no, or yes, or no, that doesn't support liberty. Yes, this does. So if we can't get involved, then we're just going to see it going the way of the UN, which is what,
well,
what we're seeing right now.
If we want to stop and reverse things like what's happened to the American beef industry, we need to be educated in the liberty side of what our rights and how things work in order to make these people change.
Yep. And it says our livestock shouldn't be bolstering the economies of communist countries. And again, I just want to ask, I know, because I've been in the, just minimally in the lamb business for 8 years now. There are a lot of lamb producers coming online in Oklahoma now. Why are we not able to get local lamb to the stores like at Costco? Why are we having lamb sent in from Australia? Why? I mean, we have these things here, but we don't seem to want to, we don't really seem to care about our food security. So anyway, we'll go on and on about that. I'm so glad everybody was with us today. Go to libertyoklahoma.org, libertyoklahoma.org to learn more about our Liberty Oklahoma conference coming up November 13th to 15th. Go to rope2.org to learn about rope and about my lawsuit against the state election board. And I think we're good, aren't we?
Yeah, I do want to answer Lisa real quick. She asked if they can record our voices too.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
In that article with that technology was only visual. So it was only just the visual side or the video side of it. But I'm sure they can record audio. I'm sure every device in your house that's hooked to Wi-Fi has some type of audio deal in it.
Yeah, I mean, our liberty is becoming so restricted every day. Like you said at the beginning, Michael, liberty and freedom are not the same thing.
Yeah, they're two completely different things.
We need our liberty back.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate all you new viewers. Please tune in every Wednesday morning and Friday morning right here on these channels at 9 a.m. where we have a new podcast each and every Wednesday and Friday. So we'll see you again next Wednesday when we'll have our friend Katie Smith with V1SUT, and she's got so many things in the hopper that she'll talk to us about. You won't want to miss that. So we'll see you again on Wednesday. Have a wonderful weekend, and God bless you all. Have a great weekend.